Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole? Update: am I the a-hole for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? Hello? I don't know where to begin, it's been an absolute nightmare recently. And I feel like I was losing my sanity. So for more details about my situation, I have to admit that my husband's mom favors him over all his siblings. This affected his relationship with them and me as well. He's never seen an issue with how differently his mom treats him. It bothered me and made me feel uncomfortable. The whole dynamic made me feel uncomfortable. Going low contact has never even been an option. Like he has to see her or call her every day. Most of his siblings don't talk to him, and I 100% believe it's because of his mom's favoritism, like I said. He does bear some blame for not seeing how wrong this is till this day. In many instances, I found myself making excuses for his behavior. Even in my post. I did it spontaneously, and I don't know why. But I guess it's because of how much I love him and because I really wanted to be able to work this type of things out without letting them affect our marriage. Regarding what happened with the trip, he tried to have a talk with me, and most of what he said came from place of blame towards me. I just couldn't continue with this argument. I told him I needed space and that I would be going to stay with my sister for a while. He didn't take it well. He literally got up from the couch and opened the door, telling me to go right then. In that moment, and seeing how he was still not even anywhere near understanding what he has done, just made things perfectly clear to me. I just had pictured years and years of my life being lived like that, and I was like, no. I can't do it, can't take any more of it, especially when he keeps focusing on being right every time. His mom can do no wrong. I'm always the aggressive, crazy, jealous, pathetic, overreactor. All these people's opinions, advice, and concerns were like a spark, like the wake-up call I really needed. Though I wish that it didn't get this far, but what's done is done. Right now I'm staying with my sister. I brought my dog with me as well. He sent me his last message telling I'm the one choosing to end what we had together, but I believe it's the other way around, especially with how he keeps making his mom the victim in this situation. It's become clear now that we keep going in circles with no end in reach, and I'm just so exhausted and overwhelmed. I'm not mad at him and don't expect him to change, but at least I'm given options to decide what's best for me and my future, even if it's separation and divorce. Next story. Am I the a-hole for storming off from my sister's wedding after she dead-named my son? I'm a 45-year-old single father of 3. Their mom died 10 years ago. I have 3 sons: 17-year-old Andrew, 15-year-old Connor, and 14-year-old Max. Connor was born female. He is trans. He came out as trans 5 years ago and has now socially transitioned, not yet physically. My sister, 38, female, just got married. Me and my sons were also invited. My family has known that Connor is trans for 2 years now. Some have adjusted well, some not so much. My sister is pretty indifferent about it. Her wedding was really super well organized to the last detail. She wanted all the men to wear shirt plus tie and then women's sundresses. I texted her a picture of our outfits the day before the wedding, and she said, "Where's Nia's dress?" I was a bit surprised and told her not to dead-name my son and that he'll be wearing a shirt and tie like the rest of men there or we aren't coming. She said fine, and that was it. At the reception, my sister got mad that Connor was wearing a tie, but didn't say much after that. When we sat down at our table, the card Nia. I went to my sister and she said she used their real name. I told her me and the boys are leaving, and she told me, "Don't you dare cause a scene at my wedding. Nia can be a guy any other day." I called her a bigot and we left. My family says I ruined her wedding. Next story. Am I the a-hole for canceling Mother's Day celebration that I arranged for my wife after hearing what she told my son? I, 37 male, have a 13-year-old son. I was a widower when I met my now wife. She has a 16-year-old daughter from another relationship. The family is often on pretty good terms. My son is the quiet one in the house. He keeps to himself a lot, but not to the point of being concerning. My wife and stepdaughter are the complete opposite. They both encourage him to be outgoing and share activities and join gatherings with extended family. My son complained about having to be forced out of his comfort zone and having his need for space invalidated. I spoke to both my wife and stepdaughter and asked them to give him space and freedom to spend his time however he wanted. They apologized and promised to let him be. As Mother's Day was approaching, I wanted to throw my wife a surprise Mother's Day celebration. It was no longer a surprise because my stepdaughter gave her the heads so she could prepare. Yesterday, I got off work earlier than usual to get final arrangements done. We planned to celebrate at the restaurant and invited her family there. I had the key, and while I was entering the house through the front door, I overheard my wife and stepdaughter talking to my son. My wife was asking my son if he could convince me to let him stay home and not go with them to the restaurant to celebrate. I paused and decided to keep listening. My son said why, and she told him that his introverted and socially inept attitude will make her family uncomfortable and will ruin the mood. He promised her that he'd be well behaved and would try to interact and socialize with everyone, but she said that she wasn't buying it. He kept reassuring her, but she snapped and told him that technically, she's not his mom, so she didn't get why he wanted to celebrate Mother's Day with her so badly. My stepdaughter threw some, "I don't remember," backhanded comment, and then both of them were shocked to see me standing there. Both were staring without saying anything. I told my son and his stepsister to go to their rooms, then told my wife that the celebration was off, cancelled. She tried to argue, asking why repeatedly, and I told her why. She tried to explain that she didn't mean it like that and that I only heard part of the conversation but not all of it. I told her I was done arguing and the decision was already made. She yelled, asking what she was going to tell her family, and said that I was making tremendous mistake towards her. I ignored her while she kept throwing tantrum after a tantrum. Early this morning, she took my stepdaughter and went to stay with her folks. Not a single call or text from her so far. Situation is full of tension. I'm upset still, but more hurt, to be honest. I mean, yes, I did say I was going to have this celebration, but I thought that what she said to my son was too harsh to ignore. Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my mom when my husband refused to listen to me? I, 26 female, recently moved into my first home. I am also 4 months pregnant with our first baby. The pregnancy has been very hard. I have horrible morning sickness. It reached a really bad point where I passed out, hit my head, and my doctor admitted me to the hospital for a week. When I got home, my husband allowed his brother's family to move into 2 of our 3 bedrooms. They were evicted, I don't know why. One room was my office, was tossed into our room, papers everywhere. The house was a complete wreck. Trash, dirty clothes, used diapers. I started to cry. It was like a light flipped. My husband was no longer the same. My husband told me it wasn't that bad. My reply was, "Fine, then you should have the house cleaned up before I wake up." Completely exhausted, I fell asleep for 4 hours. I woke up and went to get a drink of water. I couldn't. Every glass we own is scattered around the house. They didn't clean a single thing. I passive-aggressively started to pick up the dirty dishes and washed them. The following morning, I was trying my best to work when their kids were crying non-stop, banging on the walls, so on. Their mom was in her room for hours ignoring them. When my husband came home, he was upset with me over how I didn't make his brother's wife feel welcome in our home by helping with their kids when she was tired. Then continued to complain how nothing was done while he was at work all day in the house. Yep, the same one he didn't clean. That led to a fight where I told him I am too sick to have company and they need to leave. To which he replied they are his family and he won't kick them out. I started to cry again. I was beyond frustrated, exhausted. I physically couldn't do it anymore. I called my mom asking if I could come stay with her, telling her the whole story in front of my husband, who at this point was completely shocked, angry. Also, I could tell he wasn't sure what to do. My mom came with my brothers. I have 3 older brothers. My mom, super angry, told my husband, "Since your family can stay, so can we." My mom quickly took charge. I was sent to bed. My brothers started cleaning, complaining loudly at how disgusting my brother-in-law family is, along with what a horrible husband my husband is for putting me through this while I am sick. I got a text message from my mother-in-law for calling me an a-hole for not helping my husband clean up the house and putting my brother-in-law in an uncomfortable position by having my mom boss him around. Update: when my mother-in-law showed up, she was super angry outside. I could hear shouting but couldn't understand what was said. Once inside, she was shocked. My house looked really bad. My brother-in-law lied to her about what happened. My mother-in-law quickly started to help my mom in the bossing mode. My house is not just cleaned but deep cleaned. My brother-in-law and his kids are now staying with mother-in-law. She didn't know about the eviction. My in-laws helped them financially a couple of months ago. My mother-in-law was not happy about it. Sister-in-law refused to come out of the bedroom. She would scream through the door, but that was about it until her family came to pick her up. Last little bit. I did talk to my husband. He seemed very remorseful. I asked for some space. He is staying at a hotel. He asked to come by and talk to me tonight. My mom and dad are here. Both moms felt like I should have someone here since I am sick. Both moms have set up a meal plan where they trade off who will bring in dinner. It was my mother-in-law idea. Thank you for all your advice. I truly appreciate it. Talk with husband, summed up. Since it lasted 4 hours, it was a hard talk. He is remorseful. Brother-in-law was only supposed to stay for a couple of nights, then leave. Originally, he thought they would be gone before I got home. He said he is tired and emotionally upset himself. When I originally passed out, my husband left to help a friend move. He came home and found me. He said he has no idea how long I was on the floor hurt. He was originally scared I had died. Since then, he has had nightmares, on top of dealing with his family drama. He admitted to dumping his frustration onto me when it's not my fault. He begged me for another chance. The next steps. We are still separated. He plans on staying at my brother's house in his casita. We are going to go to marriage counseling and individual counseling. He asked if he could come when the home health nurse comes each night and to my doctor's appointments. I agreed to that. Update on brother-in-law: his wife admitted to having an affair. She told him she got married too soon and doesn't want the responsibilities of being a mom anymore. I am not sure what will happen with him and his kids, but I am shocked that she feels this way, especially with her kids. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.